Norwich City are back in Championship action at Carrow Road this weekend, and it's fourth placed Sheffield United. Should be a cracking game. Let's have a look at Norwich's expected team. Not expecting Daniel Farke to make any changes, really. Injuries being the main reason behind that. We're not, at this point, we're speaking ahead of the press conference on Friday. We're not thinking that Alex Tettey, Tim Closer or Mo Leitner will be back just yet. Fingers crossed, Emi Buendia shakes off that dead leg. Very good in the first half during that 3-1 win over Birmingham, of course, before having to limp off before half-time. Dead leg, fingers crossed he'll be back. Otherwise, the only real point of contention is probably whether Grant Hanley comes back in for youngster Ben Godfrey in central defence. Probably a bit harsh on Ben if he is dropped out, and I can't see Daniel doing that, to be honest, based on what we've seen from him in terms of selection over the course of this season. The young lads have generally kept that trust once they're in the team. So Tom Tribal, more than likely to continue in midfield after his very good performance, named man of the match by the sponsors and widely praised by Norwich fans following the win over Birmingham. So you'd have thought that Tom and Mario Vrancic will continue in central midfield because Daniel doesn't have too many other options. But that's the team that beat Birmingham 3-1, so you'd have thought they'll be asked to try and do the same job against the Blades. So on to Sheffield United, then, having a very good season just like Norwich, in fourth place, but they lost 1-0 at Swansea on Saturday night, which was great news for Norwich, who of course had their feet up from their Friday night win against Birmingham. This was their last starting 11 away at Swansea. They generally play with three at the back. It's a well-drilled unit. Chris Wilder has had pretty decent success with them since he's been there. It's his boyhood club, as it is with striker Billy Sharp. They're a tight unit, well-drilled, and they're solid all around, which means they're not necessarily the best at anything and not necessarily the worst in the division. One statistic that stands out, defensively, they've only conceded 29 goals this season. Only one team have conceded fewer in the Championship, and that is Middlesbrough, a Tony Pulis side, no shock. But yeah, United don't concede too many. In terms of attack, though, they still can score goals. West Brom lead the way with 57, just ahead of Norwich with 52. But Sheffield United have scored 46 so far this season, so they're no mugs in that regard either. And where they tend to score a lot of their goals is from crosses. Aston Villa have scored the most from crosses in the division this season, 27. Sheffield United has scored 23, tied with Leeds, Bristol City and Millwall. In terms of weaknesses, there's not too many. As I say, statistically, they're a solid team. Looking for some weaknesses. Offsides is something they have a bit of an issue with. They average 2.3 a game. Only Leeds average more at 2.8, and that's something that Norwich are pretty good. Norwich among the fewest in the division. Discipline, they are only 4 teams have picked up more yellow cards than them. They've got 53 yellow so far this season, but that's only one more than Norwich. So again, pretty similar teams. The key man, Oliver Norwood, is a massive creative force for them. They made his loan deal permanent from Brighton in January. Still got to go with Billy Sharp. Big fan favourite at Bramall Lane. As I said earlier, he's a boyhood Blades fan. He scored 16 goals in 26 league games, same amount as Teemu Pukki has managed for Norwich so far. He scored his 220th goal, which makes him the highest scorer in the English professional game since the turn of the century. Sharp scored the 93rd minute winner at Bramall Lane in August, so he has been absolutely massive for them this season.